Now, speaking of gall, Poilievre actually slammed Carney for his gall of suddenly pretending to change his radical net zero, keep it in the ground ideology, like saying like how galling that you would demand a meeting with the Alberta premier in the place you plan to destroy. I think, all next week, and we'll see how it goes depending on the popularity of this segment. I plan to do dramatic reading from Mark Carney's book Values, his manifesto, his Green Manifesto, every day. Just a quick snippet. So people can, like, he's not hiding his radical extremism. He published an enormously thick book about it. And I'm reading it so you don't have to. So anyways, let's go to Poilievre's clip, please.
Mark Carney was in Edmonton yesterday to meet with Danielle Smith. Shortly after the meeting, Smith put out a list of demands for the next prime minister, including, among other things, ending the prohibition on single-use plastics. She said if these demands were not met within 6 months of the new mandate, there would be a national unity crisis. Are you willing to commit right now to meeting the demands that Premier Smith has enumerated?
I think Premier Smith's demands are very reasonable. You'll have to see the rest of our platform roll out in due course, but she was making clear that Mark Carney's using weasel words. He's pretending that he suddenly, 30 days before an election, changed his entire radical net zero, keep it in the ground ideology. Mr. Carney, I can't even believe he would have the audacity to show up in Edmonton. He opposed the Northern Gateway Pipeline in a committee testimony while his company was buying pipelines in the Middle East. That pipeline would have created jobs for Edmontonians. It would have been a boom for Northern Alberta. And all the money that would have rushed into Edmonton would have created opportunities. And he opposed it. It's on the record. He supports carbon taxes in Canada while he invests in American coal. Yesterday, his environment minister confirmed that the energy cap will stay in place if the Liberals are in office. So, despite the fact that they're trying to put on this mask last minute before the election, make no mistake, a fourth Liberal term will be exactly like the previous three. It has been the lost Liberal decade. And this is the question Canadians are going to have to answer. Do we want a fourth term of Liberals who block resources, tax our people, drive up our costs, unleash crime in our community, and make us weak and defenseless facing the Americans? Or do we want to put Canada first for a change by axing taxes, unleashing our resources, building homes, locking up criminals, rebuilding our military, standing up to the Americans, and putting Canada first?
I think that's a winning campaign strategy, because when Poilievre, Sheila, says putting Canada first, he's not necessarily saying putting our nation ahead of the Trump administration. He's saying let's put our nation ahead and the well-being of our nation ahead of the Justin Trudeau, now Mark Carney Liberals, that has resulted, as Mr. Poilievre said, a lost Liberal decade of opportunity. All the energy we could have benefited from stymied. Crime's up, homelessness is up, illegal immigration is up. It goes on and on. So I think the nuance there with Canada First is putting Canada ahead of the Liberal Party of Canada.
Yeah, and first in all of your policy decisions, not about whether or not China is going to be mad at us, not about whether or not the environmentalists are going to be mad at us, but putting Canadians and Canadian jobs first. And he is right. The Northern Gateway Pipeline, opposed by Mark Carney, he said there was no business case for it, would have taken oil and gas from refineries and upgraders here, just actually up the road from where I live, outside of beautiful Bruderheim, Alberta, to northern British Columbia, and then offshore, thus ensuring full market access of Canadian oil and gas and increasing the value per barrel. Mark Carney said there was no financial case to getting Canadian oil and gas into international markets and increasing the cost per barrel. He just said there wasn't. Besides all the jobs it would have created, and all the upgraders that actually died because of the cancellation of that pipeline. I mean, it's just outrageous. But what mattered most for him was if Canadian oil is on the market, then it sort of makes all those Brookfield investments in oil and gas in foreign countries not as viable and not as lucrative. And so he was protecting his market share at the expense of Canada.
Yeah, and that's the problem when he doesn't disclose his financial assets. If he is going to be the prime minister after the next election, how do we know he's not going to get involved in legislation that is going to benefit those financial assets? Amazing. But you know what the most amazing thing that you just said in that statement, Sheila, when you use the phrase up the road from where I live, there is something up the road. I thought you were at the end of the road. I thought you were at the tree line.
No, that is true. I live exactly where the grassland crashes into the boreal forest. Very beautiful. Just to the north of me is the boreal forest, and just to the north of me is what's known as Upgrader Alley. And it's the oil and gas facilities there where we have beautiful land and clean air, and we grow all the nation's food. But yeah, there would have been even more upgraders, even more jobs, even more oil and gas production to feed that pipeline. And Mark Carney said, there's just no case for it. Like, what a lunatic. No case for him. And also, we know that Mark Carney's been advising the Liberals on economic policy and environmental policy for at least the last 5 years. And so he's already been enriching himself and growing his assets and advising on policies that would make him infinitely wealthier.
Well, Sheila, I, for one, look forward to your recitals of various Mark Carney passages from his book. And you know what? I have to do my due diligence. I got to read that book. I got to see how bad the rot really is. But here's my question for you, Sheila. Is that book available at a public library? It's not that I'm a cheapskate, just the idea of Mark Carney getting a royalty from me. That's too egregious for me to live with.
I spent 10 days looking for it at local Goodwills. Just because, and particularly at a Goodwill, because I like their support of people who are developmentally disordered and people who are living with disabilities. I did go looking for the book. I, like you, did not want to give millionaire, possibly billionaire Mark Carney any of my money. I really didn't. But I did it for all of you so that you don't give him your money, because I'll do the reading for you.
Yeah, I don't like to reward chicanery. It was like more than 10 years ago, Sheila, there was this dreadful piece of garbage movie that came out about Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka, depicting Carla as a victim, of course.
Oh, she's the reason they started killing.
Exactly.
Nobody was dead till Carla showed up on the scene.
But because I was writing about it, I had to see it. So I went to the theater and I go, but I can't give this, film a royalty. So what I did, I think I'm being honest. You tell me. I bought a ticket for another movie and then snuck into, I didn't watch the other movie. I bought, so they get the money, the other movie, whatever it was, can't remember. And then I got to see the Carla Homolka movie. Did I do the right thing, or was that some form of theft, Sheila?
No, I think that's fine. Okay. It's fine. You didn't steal from the movie theater, so that's okay. We've got one more. This is posted on X. So Mark Carney did, where was this? Was it in Edmonton? I guess he did. This was in Edmonton. And I can't even imagine, because my son is a pipe fitter. So I can only imagine what horrible trouble he would have raised on a job site if Mark Carney showed up to do a campaign, a pre-campaign photo op. My son and his friends on the job site. These guys were well behaved, but as it turns out, they didn't want to be there. So a blue collar worker from yesterday's Mark Carney press conference, so that would have been on the 20th, comes forward. He says he told organizers that he refused to shake Mark Carney's hand and did not want to be there. And the guy says, I'm the guy in the black hard hat. I didn't want to be there. I vowed not to shake his hand. I told the organizers that I wouldn't. And that guy's name is John B. Good for you, John.
Yeah.
I'm actually, you could look at how those guys are looking at Mark Carney too, by the way. They're just like, They don't want to
Yeah.
be there. They're not enthusiastic. Yeah,
I'll,
I don't know.
I'll tell you, when Lincoln Jay and I went to the Stelco plant in Hamilton, the steel workers there, the Lunch Bucket Brigade, and I say that with endearment, Sheila, were all over Mr. Poilievre.
Oh, yeah.
And it was genuine, which is another reason I just don't believe these push polls they're trying to shove down our throats. But, it's always amazing, especially when you see the Mark Carneys and the Justin Trudeaus of the world taking off their jacket, rolling up their sleeves, ditching the tie. I'm one of you. I'm like a common schlub working out in the field or in the steel mill. And look how that backfired. It reminds me in the late 80s, Sheila, it was the most, unintentionally funny photo op I ever saw. It was on the front page of the Toronto Sun. It was then Ontario Liberal Premier David Peterson with Democrat wannabe presidential hopeful Dukakis, and they were in a subway car. And of course, they cleared out the subway car. And it's kind of like Dukakis is looking at these bars above the seats, and it's like, what are these strange bars? And well, you see, Mr. Dukakis, usually the subway car is jam-packed like a sardine tin, and the people standing up have to hold the bar so they don't fall down. Oh, I see. Those two dudes haven't been in a subway train for decades, so please spare us that they were getting to, I don't know, Queen's Park by taking the subway. I can't stand the phoniness. And you saw the other day, Justin Trudeau on a Monday shopping at Canadian Tire, wearing denim and a ball cap. Did you see that social media posting, Sheila?
Oh, I sure did. And he was buying stuff for a bachelor pad. I'm just happy to find out that he didn't take the coffee machine and the utensils out of Rideau Cottage. I'm actually over the weekend. I have a little bit of time as I wait for somebody to play sports. I'm going to take that photo and I'm going to go investigate at my local Canadian Tire to see just how many of those items he was getting for his obviously new bachelor pad because he's divorced, right? And I'm sure his wife took everything that they mutually had. I'm going to go find out how many of those things are actually made in Canada.
Oh, more than 90% would not be. I'll make that bet right now.
Exactly.
But Sheila, like you, like so many members of our audience, we've shopped at Canadian Tires.
For sure.
Oh, where are the other customers? Where are the staffers? That Canadian Tire, wherever it is, it makes the hotel overlook from The Shining look like Grand Central Station at rush hour. And out of range of that selfie stick are the Royal Canadian Mounted Thugs ready to make a mess in aisle 5 in case some real schlub comes up to Trudeau and ask him anything impolite. And one last thing. What is the point? He's not the prime minister. He's not running again in Montreal in the federal election. Why is he sharing this in the first place?
Oh, because he's still a social media diva. That's his next iteration of himself. I also think he didn't take this photo himself. He's doing one of those, like, I'll reach toward my cameraman. So it looks like my cameraman is taking the photo of me. But no, he probably had a team in there with him because he's still an MP, right? And yeah, this Canadian Tire is completely empty. This is not your Fort Saskatchewan Canadian Tire on a Monday at 11 a.m. Definitely not. But yeah, he's obviously buying stuff for a bachelor pad because he doesn't have a pot to pee in anymore.
And Sheila, aren't most Canadians shopping at Canadian Tire? Oh, I don't know, during the weekend because, I don't know, we're working hard Monday to Friday to pay the bills.
Some of us have jobs. We gotta pay for a government, don't you know?
Oh, hi, it's Ezra Levant here in Toronto with an important message because we need your help. Independent journalism in Canada is under attack. Government censors, big tech deplatformers, and the dying legacy media are all working together to maintain exclusive control on the information you receive. They don't want you to hear other voices like ours, and they really don't want you to be informed and to think for yourself. That's why the work we do here at Rebel News is so important. Our on-the-ground reporting, independent news shows, and special content you won't find anywhere else. It's all designed to give you trustworthy information and alternative viewpoints so you can decide for yourself. We don't get government money, and we are not owned by some big global conglomerate. We're funded by people just like you, so please support independent journalism and help us continue our work by subscribing and becoming a Rebel News Plus member today, right here on the page. Go to rebelnewsplus.com.